Welcome friends, welcome back to the hangar, welcome back to another trip with Charlie Foxtrot, Mike Victor uniform. Today we're going to take a flight to one of my favorite airports, and we'll get into that during the flight. I'll talk about why we're going there and what I like about this airport. So all the pre-flight checks are done, even the tires and the oleo. I know a couple people have commented that they're a little bit low, but when we were in the shop yesterday with Chris doing an oil change, he checked them and everything was within spec. Every once in a while on your walk around, you're going to find a missing screw. So, no big deal, just replace it. So we are good to go. Let's get in the air.
Oshawa ground, this is Foxtrot, Mike Victor uniform on the main apron.
Foxtrot, Mike Victor uniform, Oshawa ground.
Mike Victor uniform is a Cessna 172 on a filed flight plan to Bancroft 3500, requesting taxi to the active.
Mike Victor uniform ground, runway 30, winds variable at 3 knots, altimeter 3021, taxi Alpha Bravo cross runway 23, squawk 1273, contact tower 120.1, holding short.
Alpha Bravo cross 23, hold short 30, contact tower, squawk 1273, Mike Victor uniform. Oshawa Tower, Foxtrot, Mike Victor uniform holding short 30 on Bravo for takeoff 1 able.
Mike Victor uniform tower, line up and wait runway 30.
Line up and wait 30, Mike Victor uniform.
Oshawa Tower 7152, Foxtrot Yankee Alpha with Echo.
Kilo Romeo Fox, I'd like you to stay in that crosswind heading. You're going to be following traffic inbound from the north, just over the college area. Let me know when you get them in sight.
Kilo Romeo Fox, looking for the traffic.
Fox Yankee Alpha, continue inbound. I'll get back to you in a sec.
Yankee Alpha.
Mike Victor uniform tower, start the roll now. Right turn out, report 5 northeast, clear takeoff runway 30.
Clear takeoff 30, right turn out. Mike Victor uniform.
Oscar Yankee Juliet Tower, traffic on the roll, clear touch and go runway 30.
Clear touch and go left, good.
Romeo Zulu Delta, turn downwind now.
Romeo Zulu Delta.
Kilo Romeo Fox, that traffic you're following is just about a half mile ahead of you there, turning downwind. You have them visual?
Affirmative for Kilo Romeo Foxtrot.
Roger.
Tower Oscar Coast, ready when able.
Fox Yankee Alpha Tower, runway 30, wind calm, altimeter 3021, cleared right downwind, report Columbus.
Port Columbus for Foxtrot Yankee Alpha.
Oscar Whiskey Tower, stand by.
Oscar Whiskey.
Go up in the Sierra Tango Tower, clear to land, runway 30.
In the Sierra Tango.
Romeo Zulu Delta Tower number 2, follow Cessna 172, quarter mile final.
Romeo Zulu Delta, traffic inside.
Golf Juliet X-ray Lima Tower, change tower frequency, good day.
Juliet X-ray Lima.
Mike Victor uniform tower, change tower frequency, good day.
Thank you very much, Mike Victor uniform. Okay, so, haven't left the zone, but he wants nothing to do with us anymore. So we're out, we're on route frequency. I've also got the training area frequency, the CTAF frequency dialed in, and we are on our way. Just about at cruising altitude, 3,500. So, we're going to Bancroft. And this led me to a little bit of a down memory lane type situation, because I couldn't remember what airport I actually did my first solo cross-country to. I had to go back into my logbook and look. What I remember is for my first solo cross-country, I wanted to go to Bancroft, and my instructor said, nah, you're not going there. Not going there on your first cross-country solo. You're not going there solo at this point. That'll have to wait. And so when you're getting your pilot's license, you do a cross country with your instructor first. And I didn't remember that we went to Peterborough and then to Lindsay. And a couple of weeks ago I went to Lindsay. I went to fly out at Lindsay, and you probably heard me say on camera something along the lines of, "This is the first time I've ever been here." I have been there. 25 years ago. 25 years ago I was there. So I had forgotten that completely. And you're going to see why my instructor didn't want me to do my first solo cross country into Bancroft, and why it's one of my favorite airports to fly into. Through most of the downwind, through most of the base, and into part of the final, you can't actually see the runway. It's hidden by hills, and you're coming in through a little bit of a valley over top of the town of Bancroft. And you're losing altitude, and there's trees, and there's hills, and it's tight. And on days when it's windy, it gets really swirly in there. I was there a few weeks ago, and I gotta tell you, it was just a squirrely day. The winds were swirling, and landing there was tough. And it's the runway's gravel. Hopefully we'll also see a little bit of fall color. I see a little bit, but not much. It's a real fight. This camera up here on the dashboard does overheat, and I don't blame it for overheating. It's in this window area, the sun beaming in on it. So I'm trying to, there's air vents here up top, and so I'm trying to force air, cold air, over this camera to keep it from overheating. It's a losing battle. A little bit of a sunshade. Oh, maybe maybe the checklist I don't use anymore. I'll use that as a sun shield. And I'm not being an idiot when I say checklist I don't use anymore. It's a checklist I don't use anymore because we changed so much on this aircraft that this particular checklist, even though it's for this airframe for this year of 172, is pretty much useless. None of the numbers match anymore. None of the checks that you're supposed to do in your pre-flight matter anymore because all of those instruments are gone. I've had to write a checklist right from scratch. I've had to write a checklist completely from scratch because this one just doesn't work anymore. I'm veering off track a little bit here because I want to show you something that I think is pretty cool. Up ahead here, they're building a temple. Looks like a Buddhist temple. Looks like a very classic Buddhist temple. So where we are here, we're just at the northern edge of the Carolinian Forest. This part of southern Ontario has sort of the last little bit of the Carolinian Forest. And so we get some of those deciduous trees that you would find farther south into the United States. If I was to fly, another hour north of here, even an hour north of here in this plane, we'd be out of that Carolinian Forest and into what's considered the boreal forest. We're in this sort of, it's like a saltwater marsh, a tidal marsh kind of thing. So there's a little bit of the Carolinian Forest and a little bit of the boreal forest, and they're fighting. And depending on weather and topography, you get that sort of clash. And so, in university, Julie and I took forestry, and a big part of what we did the first couple of years working out in the bush was reading aerial maps and aerial photography and deciding what trees were on the ground based on what the crown structure of the trees looked like from the aerial photographs, and then mapping that and coloring. I spent more hours of my life than I care to remember coloring maps with my best guess of what tree species was on the ground based on the aerial photography. And this was fully in the boreal forest of northern Ontario. So it'd be mostly black spruce, jack pine, white spruce, a little bit of tamarack, and any deciduous trees would all be in the poplar family. And yet, when I'm flying, I just love looking down, and even though I'm 35 years out of practice, I still love looking down and trying to think, oh, I wonder what that stand of trees is. I wonder how mature that is. Bancroft traffic, Cessna 172 Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform, 9 miles to the southwest, inbound for landing, currently 3,600 feet.
Mike Victor Uniform, Sterling Unicom, love your videos.
Thank you very much. So there's two windsocks at this airport.
Around traffic, Amphib, Delta, Flight of 2, we're 3 miles to the northeast for the right downwind, for landing to the northwest in the base.
There's two windsocks, and they often show completely opposite directions. Because you're buried in the trees, they're in between these hills. Runway 30 is a good bet, even without seeing the windsocks. Downwind checks. Everything's on, everything's in. Both locked, both. Carb heat's on, mixture is rich. Bancroft traffic, Mike Victor Uniform joining left downwind, runway 30, full stop, Bancroft. I can see it on the downwind now. Degrees of flaps. And I can no longer see the runway. Gone. Bancroft traffic, Mike Victor Uniform turning final, Bancroft 30. Now I can just barely see the clearing for the runway. And that's it. I mean, I held too much speed coming over those trees. A little bit terrifying, not being able to see the runway. I can completely see why my instructor all those years ago said, no, you're not going to Bancroft on your first solo cross country. So I ended up going to Stanhope, which is an airport we'll go to shortly.
So that's it, full pan of the Bancroft Airport. Challenging landing, and I really kind of like that challenging landing. There's a lot of places where that could go wrong, but it's good to challenge yourself and learn from the challenges. So brought a picnic lunch. I'm going to sit down at a table here, have my sandwich, and then decide whether we fly on to Barry's Bay or back to Oshawa. Seems a little late in the season. But a couple of days ago, I was able to find local wild blueberries. If you have never had a wild blueberry, you're missing out. And I'm going to eat it with a spoon because, you know, they're so tiny and they squish so easily. It's easier just to eat them with a spoon. They're so much different than those big, flavorless, cultivated blueberries.
Bancroft traffic, Mike Victor Uniform backtracking 30 for takeoff, Bancroft. So that's Bancroft Airport. It is an airport that I will come back to time and time and time again, just for the challenging landing. Just to, you know, make sure that my chops are sharp landing on this runway. It's certainly not for the faint of heart. I certainly thank my instructor, Mike McDonald. Are you out there somewhere? I thank my instructor for not letting me come here on my first solo cross country. That was a good plan, keeping me away from here, because it would have been too much. And there's a couple of fly-ins here in the spring pancake breakfasts. I might come back next spring and do that, because I think I could probably land with 60 people watching me come through the trees and through the hills. So we're gonna head back to Oshawa. I'm looking at the time. I gotta get back to Oshawa. I got things to do this afternoon. I'd love to fly all day. I'd love to fly up to Barry's Bay, but it's time to go home. The other thing about this airport is it doesn't matter which direction you come in and land or take off. You're dodging hills. So I'm going to do a short field takeoff, or as short as I can do it confidently. Airspeed's alive. Rotate, get the ground effect. Get our speed up. And then we have to weave our way through these hills to get out of here. So obviously back there at Bancroft, I set up a couple of cameras and I flew some circuits to try to get a good landing. Oshawa Tower, Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform. Number 30 with the traffic, call for me,
Thank you. Oshawa Mike Victor Uniform, Oshawa Tower.
Mike Victor Uniform is a Cessna 172 with information Mike currently at 4,500 feet above the town of Pontypool, inbound for landing, last departed Bancroft.
Mike Victor Uniform ground, runway Crescent Tower, runway 30, wind 300 at 5, altimeter 3015, cleared right base, report Walmart, not below 2,000 feet until advised.
Right base 430, not below 2,000, report to Walmart, Mike Victor Uniform.
Mike Victor Uniform, what was your last one at departure?
Bancroft, Mike Victor Uniform.
Roger. Mike Victor Uniform Tower, I don't have you on radar. What's your position and altitude now?
Currently 3,700 over Mosport.
Mike Victor Uniform, Roger, report to Walmart, not below 2,000 feet until advised.
Not below 2,000 over the Walmart, Mike Victor Uniform. Oshawa Tower, Mike Victor Uniform, did you want to give me a transponder code?
Mike Victor Uniform, I'm afraid due to your altitude I won't get you on radar anyways, due to poor radar coverage to the east, but let's try it anyways. Mike Victor Uniform, squawk 1251.
1251, Mike Victor Uniform.
Mike Victor Uniform, sorry about that. I thought you said you were at a lower altitude than that. I have you identified 10 miles to the northeast, 3,400 feet. Thanks.
Mike Victor Uniform.
Mike Victor Uniform, I check you're about to enter the control zone. I'd like you to pick up a southbound heading from your present position to intercept about a 4-mile final. I got 3 other aircraft in front of you.
Turning southbound for a 4-mile final, Mike Victor Uniform. Oshawa Tower, Mike Victor Uniform, turning 4 miles final, 30.
Mike Victor Uniform, I appreciate that. Number 3, following traffic, just turning right base over the Walmart. I'll point them on once you get closer.
Mike Victor Uniform.
Golf Romeo, Zulu Delta Tower, clear touch and go, runway 30.
Oshawa Tower, Foxtrot, requesting full start, Golf Romeo, Zulu Delta.
Romeo, Zulu Delta, re-clear to land, runway 30.
Romeo, Zulu Delta.
Mike Victor Uniform, tower traffic on the roll, clear to land, runway 30.
Clear to land, 30, Mike Victor Uniform.
Oshawa Tower, Golf, Hotel, Zulu, Juliet, ready for takeoff.
Mike Victor Uniform Tower, exit right runway 05, maintain the right-hand side and contact ground 1184, 1 off.
Exit on 05, maintain right, contact ground, 1 off. Mike Victor Uniform.
Yeah, I've ordered a tug. It's pretty hard to get that plane back in the hangar. There's a bit of a slope here, and I've only got about 12 inches on each side of the wing, between the wing and the hangar wall. So I've got to be really careful with trying to push this thing in. The slope, close call, I don't know. It's pretty hard. So I've ordered a tug, but I ordered the tug in August and they're telling me it's going to be here in November. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, Mike Victor Uniform is all back in the hangar, tucked up and ready for the next flight. Thank you for joining us today. I don't know where we're going next. We'll get Julie in the plane and we'll go somewhere fun. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.